Villain, also known as the bad guy. This is the character in a book or series who makes a lot of terrible decisions that harm people with next to zero remorse for their actions. In fact, most villains actually go as far as to justify their behavior. In K-pop, though, villains are different. They're not picked based on the bad choices that they make and that hurt people. I mean, don't get me wrong, when idols make bad choices, people will constantly drag them and cancel them. But when I talk about villains in K-pop, it's a specific person who's targeted and harassed on social media nonstop until K-pop stars decide that they're bored and they want somebody else. And the crazy thing, these villains can happen for a variety of reasons. Someone spreads rumors about you that are not true, villain. You don't bow at an award show, villain. You pick up a blanket, villain. You do something personal that's literally nobody's business, like, I don't know, not wear a bra at the airport, villain. The point I'm trying to make is that anything can turn you into a villain in K-pop, and K-pop stans are relentless until they decide that they're bored. Starting to sound a lot like bullies, isn't it? Yes. And like most bullies, K-pop stans will pick whoever they decide is the weakest link. Someone who has a lot more flaws than everyone else that they can criticize until they decide who's the next person to come along. For a while, that villain was aespa. And to some people, aespa still is the villain. But this time around, they got a new pound of flesh. It's IVE. To be more specific, Wonyoung. IZ*ONE's disbandment was not easy on any of the Wiz ones. Even though we had known it was going to happen for 2 years, it still hurt. But it was kind of a bittersweet moment because we knew their individual projects were coming. And I believe a lot of people were excited for Wonyoung. You see, Wonyoung was the most popular member of IZ*ONE. And so it would make sense that a lot of people would be interested in what she would do next. And considering that her and Yujin were going to be in the same group, people were anticipating to see what Starship was going to bring for us. I specifically was super excited because Monsta X is my ultimate group and they make amazing music, so I was pretty interested to see what IVE would bring to the table. Plus, Yujin was my bias wrecker, so of course I was excited about that. But like other Wiz ones, I also wanted to know what the other members would be like. What were their talents? What did they look like? And, what they were going to bring to the group. And also what the concept was going to be like, the song. Everyone was just super excited. But then we had a problem. You see, when the members were being revealed, we learned that Iso, the youngest member of the group, was only 14 years old, and people freaked out. You see, the audience fell in love with Wonyoung on Produce 48 when she was 13 going on 14. So the idea that 3 years later she'd now be in a group with someone calling her Wonyoung Ani freaked everybody the F out. Not to mention people were already complaining about minors in K-pop and how K-pop was literally not a place for children. But it didn't matter because Starship didn't care. And they knew that regardless of this, people would continue to support the group anyway. And that's kind of messed up, but that's a reality in K-pop. The debut showed up and everyone was mad excited about it. The song was amazing. It won several music show awards for this. People loved the song, streamed the hell out of it, me included. But by December 3rd, we already had a problem. IVE was going through a bunch of quote-unquote controversies, and these all happened within the first month. One of the controversies was an outfit that Yujin wore. People were very upset, saying that this was an outfit that a minor did not need to wear, and while the outfit wasn't like new to K-pop or anything, the fact that she was 17 years old and she was made to wear something that literally looked like an undergarment was not a good idea. So people were upset about that. Then it was the international stand's turn to be upset. Because this time around, they were making fun of the choreography. Some of the members were giggling or laughing at the choreography. And the story was that they were mocking Desi culture. Now, I'm not Desi, so it's not my place to say anything. All I'm just saying is that it was a controversy and people were upset about it. Then we had yet another problem. Their hand gesture. You see some groups kind of like have little hand gestures where they stand and take pictures with it or whatever. And a lot of people couldn't help but complain that it looked similar to Everglow's. Correction. It looked exactly like Everglow's. Now, Everglow have been doing this hand gesture since March of 2019, which was their debut. And they've been doing it for 2.5 years. And Everglow isn't exactly what you would call a small group. So people were surprised that Starship was not aware of this. People were kind of pissed off. Some people said that it was a massive exaggeration, but others said that the company should have done their research. How exactly does one conduct research for something like this? Anyway, the point is they were already in a lot of trouble. But there was one big problem. And this would prove to be a problem that would follow IVE even up until today, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon. It's the big F bomb in K-pop, the giant F word, favoritism. You see, in K-pop, there's kind of this thing where there's one member who's often pushed ahead of everybody else. This could either be the most talented member in the group, or mostly in K-pop, the most good-looking member. Because visuals matter more than anything, this is how groups get sponsors and stuff. It would make sense that the member who looks the best or who carries the most talents gets pushed ahead of everyone else. They most likely will get better outfits, more coverage, more screen time, more lines in a song, etc. Depending on what the idol can and cannot do, they get more of something else drastically compared to everybody else. We've seen this happen with a lot of Western bands, but usually when stuff like that happens in Western bands, they turn to fall apart very quickly. Names will not be named, but if you know, you know. But the issue of favoritism isn't necessarily what is the problem here. It is the assumption that comes with it. Now, an assumption is basically something that people accept as the truth, even though it doesn't have any proof. Emphasis on without any proof. Because K-pop fans assume just because an idol gets better outfits, therefore they are treated better in general. K-pop is as secretive as it is open. You get what I mean? Like, we get a lot of behind the scenes footage, we get some reality shows surrounding the group and the stuff they do together, but we never really know what their relationship behind the scenes is. And because of this, it makes people super curious. The more private you are with your life, the more in your business everybody is. And because of this, people are interested to know, do idols really get along in real life as they do when they're shooting these little reality shows or these reality scenes? I mean, things like skinship are pretty normal in South Korea. And while that may give the illusion that groups are close, we all know not everyone is besties and buddy-buddy with the people that they work with. So when people see things like favoritism, they often make the assumption that these people do not get along behind the scenes and this person behind the scenes is treated better than everyone else. The definition of favoritism, it is a practice of giving unfair preferential treatment to one person or a group at the expense of another. Emphasis on at the expense of another. Like most it girls who get a lot of hate for being quote unquote favored, it often starts with the outfits. When one member gets certain outfits that are prettier than everyone else's or stand out more, people start to scream favoritism. But also it depends on the group. Let's say, take Everglow for an example. Most of the times in Everglow, the person who has the most outstanding outfits is actually Onda. She has the most outstanding outfits, usually has really bright colored hair, which sets her apart from everyone else. Most people assume the reason for this is because Onda doesn't get a lot of lines in songs. Therefore, in an effort to make everything fair, they give her more dazzling and prettier outfits compared to the rest of the group. Even though she's not the main visual. She is a visual, yes, but she's not the main visual or the face of the group. But despite this, people still complain that Mia is the quote-unquote favorite one because she gets the most lines, she gets standard dance breaks, etc., etc. Never mind the fact that she is a main dancer and a main vocalist, but okay. The point I'm trying to make is whenever outfits are involved, people start making a lot of noise. And because it became a little more obvious that Wonyoung's outfits were different from everyone else's, people became very upset. And so the story of Wonyoung is favored over IVE started. The idea was that because she got prettier outfits and she was rich and she came from a rich family and also makes a lot of money, therefore she must be obnoxious and think that she is better than everyone else. You would think that it's because they want everyone to get fair treatment, but that's not the case. For instance, during 11 era, she had a little tulle-like dress and it was a skirt. And people were upset because they thought she was getting favoritism in outfits. But in Love Dive, I believe it was... A girl needs to do her research. Give me a second. Kyle, yes. It was Kyle who got a tulle outfit, and I don't remember anyone complaining about favoritism. You would think the reason why they were mad at Wonyoung getting this really pretty tulle dress was because they wanted everyone to show up looking like they'd been swallowed by loofahs, but turns out it's just that they didn't want her to have a pretty outfit. So is it that people care that it's favoritism, or is it because it's Wonyoung? That's the issue. The real reason why IVE gets a lot of hate isn't necessarily because of favoritism. It is because IVE is easy to hate. K-pop stans are judgmental. And because K-pop stans are judgmental, in an environment that strives for perfection, you are asking for a disaster. The whole point of being an idol is supposed to be an all-rounded person who knows how to do everything properly and never makes mistakes. And that's a problem because these idols are humans, and humans make mistakes, and humans aren't perfect. So why do people pick on IVE so much? Number one, lack of talent. I know that sounds really harsh and mean, but let's break it down a little bit. You see, if you look at IVE, they don't have what you would call exceptional talent. I mean, Liz is an amazing vocalist, literally has the voice of an actual angel, if I've ever heard one sing. I would say that while they have Gail and Eugene as really good dancers, the truth is they don't have an excessive amount of talent that we've been seeing in the fourth generation. I mean, if you look at groups like NMIX, they have members that every single member, including their former member Jenny, were really either really good dancers, great stage presence, really good vocalists, can rap really well. And because IVE doesn't have a lot of that, it proves that they have weaknesses. And because of these weaknesses, it makes them easy targets for bullies. Because bullies often pick on people who have, or at least seem like the weakest link. If you looked at a lot of their performances when they win, usually when you win at a music show, you kind of have to sing live at the end. A lot of the times, because of some of the notes that have high pitches, the girls seem to avoid singing that. In fact, Gael got a lot of flack for avoiding to sing her parts because of it. Was it Gael or was it Ray? I think it was Ray. And a lot of people thought that she was purposefully skipping those parts because she couldn't sing them. So the idea that they couldn't sing live on their own personal songs made them easy targets. Also, the fact that they're successful but don't have the exceptional talent to show for it. I do have a video coming up where I talk about deserving success and if every group deserves success. But as far as K-pop stans are concerned, if you have an excessive amount of success but somehow don't have the talent to match it, then they have a problem. The second issue, the favoritism issue. A lot of K-pop stans don't necessarily care about favoritism. They're just mad that their faves don't get the most attention. That's the truth. Because reverse that for a minute. If Kyle got the amount of attention that Wonyoung was getting, Kyle's fans would not be complaining. You see, the thing about K-pop stans is that whoever looks better than them or makes them feel insecure about themselves, they attack them. And that's part of the reason why Wonyoung gets so much hate. I mean, from eating strawberries, throwing a baseball, all of the cute things that was seen as adorable when she was a kid, people don't see them as adorable now. The other issue is the fact that people cannot accept that growing up is a thing. See, when Wonyoung threw a baseball when she was like 14 or was she 15, I don't know. People found it cute and made a lot of noise about it. She did egyo, they found it cute. The way she ate, they found it cute. But there's something about her doing it now that pisses everybody else off and makes them call her a pick-me. You see, the thing is, people keep saying that Wonyoung is not the same anymore. Well, duh, you fucking genius. No one is the same as they were at 13 years old. If Wonyoung was acting now how she acted at 13, I would have a few questions. This is part of the reason why my friend Nabikor says that K-pop is no place for minors. Because people don't allow children to be children. Or if they fall in love with you as a child, then they don't want you to grow up. I've seen this happen with Jungkook so many times, and it is ridiculous and embarrassing. The reality is people cannot simply accept that the Wonyoung now is not the same Wonyoung back then. Another reason why they get a lot of hate is that K-pop has just been progressively getting worse. You see, back when she was 13 years old, not everything was offensive. Not everyone was pissed at everyone for breathing. But now things have changed. They spend so much time observing unnecessary details, and they decide to pick on someone because they can. Another one is more of a conspiracy theory I have, but I think there is someone who's being paid to push the Wonyoung hate. Now, I don't know how true this story is, but someone claims that they had somebody come to them and offer them money in order to write hate comments about Wonyoung. Now, I would not be too surprised if it is true that there are certain people who are pushing the hate on Wonyoung, who will literally take anything and everything she does out of context. I'll give you a good example. Recently, I can't remember what award show that was. There was a lot of them and all of them were messy, but IU gave a performance. Wonyoung clapped, but for some reason, someone took a clip of her clapping, removed the part where she was clapping, posted the part when she didn't, and claimed that she didn't clap for IU, even though she did. The fact that people will go out of their way to create drama that literally doesn't exist to hate on this girl honestly makes me believe that there's someone who's being paid to do this. Because the idea that someone would do this at their free will, that is sociopath behavior. So the only real reason why IVE are a villain at this point is because they are easy to hate. They're simply easy to target, and that's why people come for them. It's a crazy and messed up thing to say, but it is also true. Weaknesses are different. For some groups, it's because they have too many controversies. So people now pick on them and anything and everything that they do. Maybe like other idols, like Bangchan, you've made one or two mistakes. And now people think that you're a racist and will not stop using that term with you no matter what you do. It doesn't really matter because there's nothing that can be done to stop it. A lot of people claim that Starship is not doing enough to protect Wonyoung. And maybe you're right, maybe they're not. But there's only so much control you can do on millions upon millions of people who decide to hate on someone for the smallest reason ever. Anyway, I'm not saying that companies shouldn't do anything. Please be aware of that, because I don't need people spreading rumors about me in 2023. 2022 is over. We need to move on. But the point that I'm trying to make is that IVE are simply easy targets, and the hate on IVE will only stop when K-pop stans find an easier target and someone who's much easier to pick on.